Hello, my name is Josh Scogin. I'm in the rock duo 68, and you're watching Kayam Interviews. The idea coming from the Chariot. I was really curious as to what I wanted in a name. I wanted something different, something just that felt new and fresh for me. I didn't want just another name or another thing. I wanted something that was almost a symbol in and of itself. And with 68, I felt like just having two simple numbers, just as easy as could be, it really just felt like the right way to go, and something new, something different. And and as far as the meaning, it has a lot of meanings for me. One thing is 1968. I feel like I really like the imagery that comes from my brain when I think about that year and stuff. Not that I was alive, but just the visuals that come from it. And my father actually had a 68 Camaro, and for me, it was something that me and him, could really bond over, and he seemed to really enjoy it. And so yeah, all those things come together to make up something that felt right, and it felt like it was something that I should go with. No, not necessarily. When we ended the Chariot, we were on Warped Tour when we actually when we actually decided it, and I had a couple songs that didn't really fit the Chariot, and so once I started thinking about what am I going to do next, whatever, I knew I was going to do something musically and continue on at least the attempt of trying to play music and stuff. And so when I referenced those songs and listened to them, it felt like the right thing. It felt like the right path, and it felt very natural. And so some of those songs I had written a while ago, and so I brought them up to date, and yeah, it felt very natural. It felt like the natural evolution of where I'm going with my life and what I want to be doing. And but the day after we talked about it amongst ourselves as a band, no one else knew yet, but I called Matt Goldman, the guy who records all of our records in the Chariot in 68, and I told him I wanted to book some studio time for December. And he goes, "Oh, okay, cool. Is that for the Chariot?" And I had to tell him, I was like, "No, actually, the Chariot, we're calling it a night." And he's like, "So what is this for?" And I said, "I don't know, but if I have studio time booked, I'll have to figure it out prior to getting there." So he was like, "Okay." So we booked the month of December, and from there it was bon voyage. It was I like having things like that, because I feel like any artist, if you have just unlimited time, unlimited resources, you procrastinate. Everything can be made better. Everything can be thought through a little more. And with me, I like to kind of go with my gut instinct and kind of go with the impulse, and it helps when there's things that are deadlines and stuff. And so for me, that was booking studio time in December, and making sure that I didn't procrastinate and wait around, and because it'd be easy just to to take off from the Chariot and just be like, cool, I've got 2 months off, or whatever. But instead, I was immediately working and immediately sorting everything out of what was to come. It feels like it's been doing very well. it seems like people are responding well to it. We're out right now with a band called Chiodos, and they're a little bit different style than we are, but it seems to be like it's going well, and there's obviously people. We're not writing music for the masses. It's understandable that a lot of people aren't going to understand it, and that's fine. But having said that, I feel like there's people that do really appreciate it and are giving it a shot. We don't have set lists or anything. In the last couple of years of the Chariot, we didn't have set lists either. And with this band, it's funny because we only have 10 songs to choose from anyway. But we try to mix it up and do whatever feels right for that night and that time period. But also, since we're a two-piece, it's a lot easier just to make parts longer, make parts shorter, and it's very easy to communicate that since it's just two people. Not to say we get it right all the time. Sometimes it's a train wreck, but for the most part, just with a catch of an eye or a nod or something, we'll rock something out like so much longer than it would have been on the record or even the day before, which is something that I really enjoy, because for us, I feel like every show is different, every crowd's different, every city's different, it's so different. Every single variable that can be changed is changed every single night, except for the bands. The bands usually play the exact same set, the exact same clockwork, A to B to C, all the way down and it's a very funny thought process to me, being, as I said, every other variable is so different. So it's really nice with this duo to be able to, sometimes we'll play things super short and just kind of get to the point and move on, and sometimes you're feeling it and you play it super long, and so every song, even in and of itself, is very different. If you catch us 3 nights in a row, you'll see how different each song can be, and I enjoy that. It keeps us on our toes, keeps us fresh, keeps it entertaining for us, and hopefully that translates well into the crowd listening to it, Really, the only inspiration was the idea of I've been in 5-people bands my whole life, and as great of guys as I've always been with, sometimes you can get a lot more done when there's less cooks in the kitchen, and for me, it was something I wanted to try. I don't know a lot about guitar. I actually am learning. I've learned more now than in the past several months than I have in pretty much my whole life. I play guitar, and I've written most of the Chariot songs, but the idea of playing every single night and learning all this stuff was very new to me, and so I literally had to study and sort of create a way to even see if the technology was there. I never wanted to run tracks or push spacebar on a computer, even though that's the thing to do these days. I never wanted to do that, and so for me, I had to really branch out and learn these things and learn, is it possible? Is it going to sound good? Is it going to feel right? And with the help of Matt Goldman, who does know some of that world, at least sort of the nerdy, techie side of amps and how they work and stuff, we were able to conjure up a system that I feel like works really well and will always be evolving. And hopefully every tour will sound a little better than the last, because of just being able to learn. Every day I run across someone who actually knows stuff about guitar, and they go, "Oh, have you tried this pedal?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't." Go on, and they tell me about it, and someday if I get money, I'm gonna try and buy some of these pedals and see sort of what which ones that really do stand out and make it create the sound I want or whatever. So but the idea of one guitar producing this sort of wall of sound is there, and it works, and it's currently active. It's just I'm always hopefully going to be evolving that into making it more exact of what I want. the writing process for this for 68 was something like I've never done before. As I said earlier, I had a couple songs that kind of already existed in my sort of pool of songs that, anytime I write anything, I sort of throw it in this pool. And so I had a couple songs, but for the most part, I went to the studio a week before I was supposed to be there, and I set up a small studio of my own, and I wrote everything. Pretty much, I wrote everything that week. I would write, and I had a couple songs, and I'd write maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4. And then once we started recording, I would always just have to keep ahead of the game. And again, that comes from that impulse, that spontaneous, that mentality of not overthinking rock and roll. And if you don't have time to overthink it, I think you're more likely to run with your gut instinct, which is usually the right thing to do anyway. So for me, I had maybe, because of that week, I had written maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 songs. And as we started recording them, my drummer, Michael, he would hear it that morning and be recording it within a couple of hours. A credit to his ability, he would just nail the vibe, nail the feeling of it, And there was only a moment, maybe a week or so, where I was, it started catching up. We were recording, because when I record, I just kind of go. Very impulsively, I play through, and a lot of mistakes and a lot of things I enjoy keeping because it feels very human. And I know this day and age in rock and roll, that everybody wants to suck the human element out. They want to copy paste, make sure it's perfect, make sure everything's in tune, make sure you're singing autocorrect tuning and everything. And I think the more that you pull the human element out of it, to me, that's not what I want to do. I like leaving that element in there. So we would record pretty fast. All that to say that we recorded it in a very fast manner, and eventually it caught up to me. I was sitting in the studio with like, well, I got to write a song, today or tomorrow because we're all caught up, and so. But I enjoy that. I enjoy that sort of like that pressure of time and kind of that mentality, because I feel like, obviously I write very stressful music, and it's supposed to, it's not everybody understands it, not everybody gets it, that's fine. But I think making it quick, making it, not have time to overthink things, I think that adds to those stress levels, and you can really feel it in the music, even in the recording. Obviously, you can feel it live. It's a very stressful, vibe, and I have all these pedals that I hope work, and and as they don't work, I'm having to, rearrange things and make it, But I think people that get it really understand and feel it, and the people that don't, that's fine. There's a million other bands that I'm sure they'll enjoy. So. Everything's different live, but I try to narrow that gap as much as possible. I think, I don't know how other bands write, but I think and I imagine they write a record, and then they spend a year, 2 years trying to duplicate that record on stage. I enjoy what I do live, and how that feels, and the human element, and the sweat and the lights. I enjoy how that feels, and I try to capture that into a record. So that gives me the grace to basically do whatever I want live. When you record an album, when I record an album, it just happened to get caught like that. If I would have done one more take, it would sound totally different. If I'd have done 2 more takes, it would sound totally different. If I overthought it for one more day, it would shift, it would change. There's always left-hand turns that are going. I have hundreds of songs on my computer that some are the very same songs that you'll hear when the record does come out, but you may not even recognize some of them. The feelings are different. Some are faster, some are slower. Some of them have a completely different ending. Some, a record's always evolving, and like the thing that you hear is just what it happened to get captured at that moment. And especially with 68, we used a lot of very old vintage combo amps, and we were just pushing them way too hard, and that's the sound that we were really going for. And at the end of the day, some of them were actually we actually broke the amps. Some of Matt Goldman's amps are actually breaking, and as they were breaking, we're like, put a mic up to it, let's record it, because you can never capture that again. There's pedals that mimic that sound, but this is authentically breaking and in front of our ears. So as you hear the record, you'll hear stuff that might sound like it's cutting out or doing this, that, and the other, and it's very, very natural. It's very real. It is actually doing that. We used old amps. We used we pushed them too hard, and live. If you recorded. Live is just another day of me performing the song, and at the studio it's just another day of me creating and performing the song. It just happened to get captured that day, which is something that's really nice for us, because we get to see these songs evolve over time, and every day as I grow, and same with the Chariot. I mean, lyrics would change, parts would change, entire songs would get a different vibe, different feel. But we always sort of resorted to the idea of if you want to hear the record, go listen to the record. You're here at a live show, and today this song is going to sound like this, whatever that is, and that's something I very much enjoy. I love that process, and I love the idea that you can see a band 3 or 4 times and it just be a completely different vibe. Why would it not be that? As I said, all variables are different, so why not sort of go with the flow and feel like what's tonight supposed to be like, and not to say you nail it every night. You nail it very rarely sometimes, because the experience is so magical and monumental sometimes. But having said that, that's the goal, is to try to capture what is tonight supposed to be, and not trying to be like, when you're in the comfort of your practice space going, okay, here, every single night's going to be this, every single night's going to feel this. And I don't know, I don't feel like you can capture that moment with that mentality, because every night is different, and so I enjoy just trying to wing it and let the night sort of define what it's supposed to be. The 2 songs that we have on 7-inch, we play those every single night. And then there's about 4 other songs that we can pick and choose from. And then there's about 3 different, probably about 2 different covers. We actually do a cover song, and we have 3, but we've only thus far done 2 for some reason. And the reason we do the cover is because we do understand that even people who are trying to like our band, they don't have anything to reference. They don't have anything they have those 2 songs and that's it. So give them a cover song, something they can relate to, something here. And especially most of the people in the audience, they don't necessarily know what we're doing or what's going on. So for them, it's nice, I would assume, to hear something that's like, oh, okay, this is a song that I've heard. Between let's say 4 or 5, 6, between any 6 songs, you'll hear, like I said, you'll hear those 2 every night, and then some variation of those 4. And then how they evolve every night is just that's different every single night. We only have a 25-minute set, so we're kind of in and out, and because of that very nature, we have to keep things a little short. But for the most part, we've definitely. I forgot too. We did a couple headlining shows, and we just invented a song on the spot. We did that several times, which I thoroughly enjoy. I just make up a riff right then and there, and he plays a drum beat, and then I just start screaming some words. And sometimes it's really nice. Sometimes it's like, oh, I hope someone recorded that, because I want to remember that. And then sometimes it's like, well, It existed. I wish it would have. I wish I'd have made it better, but oh well. That's what happened. So, but yeah, you never know. I mean, I never know what we're gonna do live, so that's a good time. We got a full length record. We recorded it in December, and we're hoping it'll be out in July. It'll be on E1 Records, and I think it'll be out in July. Right now, it's in the final stages of mastering and a couple of red tape sort of things as far as like artwork and everything. And so yeah, hopefully in July our full length will be out. It's called In Humor and Sadness, and yeah, it's 10 songs of a real good time. Well, in July, hopefully our record will come out, and we're gonna be touring with a band called Listener and Homeless Gospel Choir, two artists that I'm thoroughly a big fan of, and so we'll be touring with them around the U.S. And then we are playing Heavy Fest in the U.K. In August. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. And we're talking about doing Russia and Europe and a couple other things, and then in the fall, hopefully some more U.S. tours. So those are all still up in the air, but that's it.